And with that, we are going to be moving on to our keynote. We're very excited to have Dr. Ken Harris come on up here and bestow his wisdom upon us. And if you look through the bio in the program, it is impressive. But the thing I like the most is that cold stare and that pick. That is solid. Can you give us that look real quick? Wow, all right, okay. And with that, not to waste any more time, your keynote speaker for this evening, Dr. Ken L. Harris, Ph.D.
Talk about the best MC in the building. Please give your MC a round of applause. Now, y'all a little melancholy right now. I'm about to wake y'all up. I don't know what our fearless leader was thinking when she brought a disruptor to the mic. But we're going to disrupt tonight. But before we do that, in ancient African tradition, we always give respect to our ancestors. We always give homage to those who came before us and who paved the way, and spiritually who are still with us. And so as a professor, as a teacher, I'm going to be asking you all in the audience today to respond, not just to me, but those who are with you now and those who came before you. So when I mention a name, you say Ashe. Booker T. Washington, Ashe. Madam C.J. Walker, Ashe. We ask our ancestors to come into the room and be with us, for you are the reason we are still fighting today, and that we will continue to fight until we win. Earl Graves, Harriet Tubman, Marcus Garvey, Mary McLeod Bethune, Frederick Douglass, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Kwame Nkrumah, Phyllis Wheatley, Ida B. Wells, Shirley Chisholm, Sojourner Truth, and yourselves. Ashe. Oh, give yourselves a round of applause. Y'all feel that energy now? If you don't feel it now, you're about to witness something. So, all right, Black queens and kings and Black liberation allies, everyone, thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, so we greet our people by saying, what up, doe? So Delaware, what up, doe? And I want to just witness the beauty in this room, because truly Black is beautiful. So thank you, Black people, for being here, and all of our lightly melanated friends that are sitting next to you. So how are y'all doing? That's what I'm talking about. There y'all go. I know y'all doing all right. We can't get started without thanking the stupendous, the incredible, the extraordinary, the fearless leader that we have over this chamber. Please give a round of applause for Yana Khan. Thank you so much. Boy, you better listen to Black women, boy. I keep telling y'all, fellas, take a back seat. Enjoy yourself. And I promise you, I can't even think about what the conversation is going to be like. So after you hear this disruptive speech today, this will be the conversation at the Delaware State HBCU football game this weekend, because we love HBCUs, right? All right, that's what I'm talking about. I went to one. And y'all, as you know, I roll with my partners. You can't roll alone. You got to come together. And if you all could just one more time give Charles H. DeBow, the president of the National Black Chamber of Commerce, a round of applause. Thank you, Charles, for all you do. Well, Charles out here hustling, y'all, I'm telling you. He bringing all these Black chambers together across the country. Y'all better watch out. We are coming together, and you got incredible leadership at the national helm of life right now. And I also want to thank my fraternity brother, Zakari. Man, thank you for picking me up, a proud member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, the Qs. Thank you so much. Thank you for adoring me while my phone was ringing off the hook and you couldn't get 2 words in. I'll get with you, my brother. But check me out. I almost didn't make it to this spectacular event. You know, I've been on the road the last 2 months. I haven't seen my bed. I finally got home to Detroit, Detroit, got to the crib. I was so relaxed in my bed. Everything went well. I hopped up in the morning, excited about this event, hopped in my ride, listening to Big Sean from Detroit, right? Swiped that diamond status card, came into the Delta Sky Club on my laptop, getting ready. And then as soon as I got to the counter, they said, oh, your flight's been delayed. I'm like, oh, what the ancestors saying to me right now. So I said, okay, cool. So I cracked open my laptop. I knocked out a few emails, knocked out a few phone calls. You know how we do. I had some vegan sausages and oatmeal. And then I got ready to board first class because of the supreme hospitality of the DEBCC. Thank you so much, the Delaware Black Chamber. For those of you who are not members, you will join today. And I boarded on the plane, and my seat was 1D. So I said, okay, cool. So the captain gets on the mic, welcomes us, immediately apologizes for the delay, that the plane had experienced some problems. I said, okay, cool. Plane takes off. We're ascending into the clouds. We're making our way. And then suddenly the plane starts to shake. I said, okay, cool. Captain gets on the mic, except this time he says, we have an emergency. We are going to have to make this plane land quick because we have too much weight on the plane, and we must start loading off the plane right away. Not cool. Okay, so I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna throw off all the luggage. The captain comes on and they open the door. So I'm like, this is a sci-fi movie. How they cracking the side door? What's going on here? So the captain gets on the mic again and he says, we're going to open the door and we're going to go alphabetical order, and if your letter comes up, you must get to the door and jump off the plane. Not cool. So they said, letter A, can all the African Americans please stand up? Okay. I said, it's gotta be a joke, right? Said letter B, can all the black folks please line up and get in line? Then he said, letter C, can all the colored people please line up and get ready to jump? Then he got to letter D, he said, can all the dark people line up? I said, oh my goodness, well, I'm sitting in first class, bougie, hiding out. But the stewardess came by and said, well, you know, he said D and you're sitting in 1D, so you got to get up too, sir. So as I was getting ready to jump off the plane, the captain got on the mic and said, man, ain't it just a bad day for black folks right now? But guess what, Dr. Harris, we have landed. So thank you all, I'm here. Thank you all, I made it. Despite the struggle that even we go through on planes. And so with that, you know, I just wanted to have a little humor into the discussion because, man, it's real out in these streets. And so when you think about where we are today, it's such a pleasure for me to represent the National Business League. For those who don't know, it's the first and largest trade association for black businesses in the country, founded by the iconic and legendary Booker T. Washington in 1900, 123 years ago in Boston, Massachusetts. We currently have regional offices in Atlanta, Detroit, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. And recently, Chuck and I were there. We just opened our new $2 million headquarters back in Tuskegee, Alabama, where we were founded. Absolutely. So there's progress. In our international office, Chuck is leading this global infrastructure and pursuit as we rebuild the connectivity between the African diaspora and the Black community here. So we'll be opening our office in Cape Town, South Africa in February. So this is truly a global agenda. And if you all don't know, we're in 50 states, currently 120,000 members, 125 Fortune 500 corporate partners with revenue exceeding more than 20 million since I took the helm as the 16th national president. Noting that yesterday we made a huge announcement. So check your Black Enterprise, your Essence, your Forbes, and your Wall Street Journal that during COVID-19, we pulled together Black contractors from all across the country. Those names of General Motors, Stellantis, Ford, Toyota, Lear, Comerica Bank, Magna, and DTE. And we gave $100 million in contracts to Black businesses in the United States of America due to partnerships. So it's a new day, folks. We're not just talking the talk, we walking the walk. And anybody that's just talking, walk away from them. It's a new paradigm. We are progressed past the empty speeches, the press conferences and platitudes that produce no results. This is the show me generation. This is where we are the receipts generation. This is the don't talk to me about what you know and who you know, introduce me to that person. This is the generation that says, I see you got a seat at the table, but who you bringing along with you? This is, go ahead, you can go ahead and let that spirit flow because the ancestors gonna take over in a second. This is the ROI generation, the return on investment, the return on inclusion, and the return on the ink. Are we signing a contract generation? This is the straight no chaser generation. We as Black folks, we're leaving the corporate plantation in droves, trying to find our peace of mind, regain our peace, our mental sanity. We're looking for practicing and wanting self-care, and we are creating opportunities for our minds, our bodies, our souls, and our spirits to be free. And we are aligning and balancing ourselves to become whole again, because we done been through a lot of trauma, Black folks. And it's time to get ourselves together. And if you are not right yourself, how can you help someone else? So this is the time where we are in the age of reclaiming our Black identity, which has taken us from our own language, our own culture, and our freedom and quality of life and well-being for over 400 years have been compromised. But in this age, we coming back for it all. This is the generation of no forgiveness without justice, because if you forgive without demanding justice, you are actually rewarding injustice. This is the generation of truth, facts, and history over faith and belief. I'll have faith and belief, and I'll have it tolerated when you also tell me the truth, facts, and history. This is my tribe is all Black generation. My accountant's Black, my lawyer's Black, my doctor's Black, my dentist is Black, my yoga instructor's Black, my meditation counselor's Black, my psychologist is Black, my banker's Black, my car dealership is Black, my tailor's Black, my travel agent is Black, and yes, I want my coffee Black. So Black folks got a little comfortable. We thought the game was going to be played fair. Instead, while we have been playing checkers, the oppressor has been playing chess. Time to flip the script. Delaware, we are living in unbelievable times. The fear of black success is at an all-time high. When you give black folks a crack in the door, we just seem to take over. This is witnessed in almost every aspect of life. No matter when there's a level playing field and the rules are equal and the opportunity is present, black folks start smiling because we know what we're capable of. Just look at our young sister that just won the U.S. Open again at the age of 19, and they thought Serena was gone. But she inspired an entire new generation. And it ain't over until we what? We win. Delaware, again, when you look at the times we are in, affirmative action has been banned, the rich elite is getting richer, and a black person even making $1 million is struggling. So you're looking at how the working class is having issues and rebelling against the system. When you look at today's institutions, systems, and structures, a lot of them bent and policy orientated with racist policies, biased policies that are supposed to be unbiased. But we're finding ourselves, and as a black economist, I always look at the data. And when you look at, we've survived Reconstruction. We came out, the fastest growth economic segment in black history was during the Reconstruction period with no education. We built black Wall Streets all across America. We became senators and congresspeople. We got education. We became lawyers and doctors. We did all of this off the plantation with no formal education. Scared the heck out of white folks. So they put in rules and they called it black codes. And black code said that black people cannot participate in the economic mainstream of society, and it was written into law, policy, to exclude us from participating in the economic mainstream. So when you look at the circumstances today and you look at the wealth gap, the economic gap, there's a reason why that is in place. So when you remove an entire race, an entire population, and you tell them that they cannot own a home, they cannot get insurance, they cannot get access to capital, they cannot participate, they cannot go outside of their community in fear of being lynched or their entire economic situation taken away. And when the KKK was formed, it was not just to harass black people, it was to go after black men and women business owners. Don't get it twisted. So we built black Wall Streets, and they came up with another rule. They came up with Jim Crow segregation. We had to participate with that for many years, over and over again. They gave us urban renewals that went through all of our black business districts across the country. This was law. So don't ever have anyone tell you, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstrap. Well, I can't pull my bootstraps up if you was already written off the boots. We got to get serious talk with people, folks. We got to go back, and this is why they're trying to get rid of history. But they don't want to get rid of history when it comes to their history. But when it comes to his story, they want to change the script because they don't want you to go back and look at what was done. But guess what? Not only do we got the receipts, we got the records, we got the pictures, and our youth are not having it. They're not afraid to lay out in the law schools, the medical schools, and they're not afraid to go into the job interview and say, nobody in this interview looks like me. I don't want this job. That's thanks to all of you all. It's a new day. And they coming straight, no chaser. So when we think about being comfortable, this brings me to the core of my speech today, is that Booker T. Washington had it right. And then we are going to go into a conclusion, and then we're going to inspire ourselves to do better. So, again, as a black economist, as a hood professor, a black historian, your homework is, when I say who had it right, you say Booker T. Washington had it right. Who had it right? Who had it right? All right, I'm gonna shorten that up for you guys. Just say Booker T had it right. Okay, who had it right? That's right, you got it. Who had it right? Booker T. Washington had it right because he knew that black people's story did not start with slavery here in America, but it goes back to the beginning of humankind, where black men seeded the black woman and she birthed civilization. And as the first human beings on the planet, we now know our original origins. Who had it right? Booker T had it right because he knew that we could find our history in ancient Kemet, Africa, which is the original name of what is called Egypt today, which was named by the Greeks thousands of years before black rule. And in Kemet, Africa, your ancestors knew exactly who they were, because if you know the true meaning of Kemet, it means the land of black people, and was the world's first nation state, first state government, where black people operated in high society and gave us all that we know almost 5,000 years ago. And if you don't believe it, travel to Kemet, today called Egypt, look on the hieroglyphics, or what its original name is, the Meta-Neter, and look and read the writings, and our ancestors left the truth in writing on the books of stone. So it cannot be placed. They knew this day was coming, so who had it right? Well, number three, to me, he knew that the deeper that they dug in Africa in ancient history, the blacker it gets. So this invention of the white race, which was created as social and economic control, there's no such thing as race. There's only one human race. There is only one humankind, but this construct of white supremacy and racism was created to control a global majority population of black and melanated people across this country. So when you come to a person that's practicing racism and white supremacy, you can say you're crazy and out of your mind because it don't exist. We're the same people. You just want to control us, period. Booker T had it right because he knew the oldest remains in Africa come from a little black woman 3.2 million years ago, where the fossil of our ancestor was found in 1974 in Ethiopia, the cradle of civilization. Who had it right? Booker T had it right because the African cradle of civilization, you can find truth, history, and facts, and you can verify, as black people have, who invented almost everything. Black people invented farming, mathematics, physics, cosmology, sailing, government, fashion, medicine, birth control, cosmetics, dentistry, sports, swimming, chess, and even the traffic light. And if you want to come to, that's right, give yourselves a round of applause. See, this is why they want to get rid of history. This is why they want your story in the school books to start with slavery. They don't want to take it back to where you ruled this planet for 5,000 years when there wasn't even no white people even in the caves of Europe. So think about this. So when we think about today, who invented the mailbox in 1891? Philip Downing. Who invented the traffic light? Garrett Morgan. Who invented the gear shift? Who invented the clothes dryer? Richard Spikes. Who invented the automatic elevator doors? George Sampson. Who invented the clothes dryer? Who invented the folding chairs? We just witnessed the folding chairs in Alabama. Was that the ancestors speaking or what? Here you go, brother. I got something for you. We invented this. The golf tee. We invented it. George Grant. Home security. Mary Van Britten Brown. And the list goes on and on and on of black innovation and achievement. So don't ever think that you can't amount to anything. Don't ever think that you cannot build, because we are the great builders of black people, as melanated people. And all of our lightly melanated people are our distant cousins. It just got a little cold in Europe and we lightened up a little bit. They even found the oldest remains in Iceland. If you just looked on Time magazine, they just found the skeleton, and when they pulled the skeleton out the ice, he was black. So even the Iceman was a black man. Then he got real cold. His nose shrunk. Everything. So we are all one human race, but we gonna kill this game of white supremacy and racism. It's over. It's a wrap. No more elite, no more privileges. If you know economic history and Schumpeterian theory, as an economist, we believe in theory that all economies must disrupt themselves. And the working class always rebel against unfair treatment by those up there getting filthy rich. And that's what's happening right now. Everybody's saying, no, my car note went up $200. The gas is crazy. The policies is crazy. I got to pay the bills, but my wages have not changed. Come on now, we got to get with the times. So Booker T had it right. Who had it right? Booker T had it right because he knew if you focused on owning your own business, making economics the core of your entire black experience, we have the educational success, the material success, the political success, the cultural success, but what we have not turned the corner on is economic success. So when there is no economic success, educational, material, political, and cultural success means nothing. Why you think we always talk to young folks and talk about, let's get me to the money. It's time to get to the money, and there's a reason why they told us that money was the root of all evil. It was to say that it was evil for y'all to participate, but not us. So look at this game that's being played on us, okay? We woke up now. We way past woke. Let's put a capital W on that one. Who had it right? Booker T had it right because he knew that if folks tried to say black people aren't the first, he knew that Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop out of France created a melanin test, and this melanin test could determine the level of melatonin in human beings, and they dug up every old fossil in Africa that you could possibly think of, and guess what? Highly black. And as I said, the deeper that they get, the blacker it gets. So guess what they're doing now? They're not digging anymore. And when you go on the walls, it used to be black people on there. They're lightly melanated now. So you're looking at the game that's being played on us right in front of our eyes, but the young people not having it. We can see right through it, and it's real times right now. So when you think about who had it right, Booker T knew it right because he knew that historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, would be the safe haven for black education as white schools continue to segregate us out the picture. They banned affirmative action. This is why HBCUs, and give a round of applause for all HBCUs in here today. Who had it right? Booker T had it right because he helped found the nation's first historic black towns and settlements, and that this would be eventually called Negro Wall Street, which Booker T. Washington coined during one of his visits to Greenwood, Tulsa, and eventually known today as Black Wall Street, that this would become the new economic power and center of our focus. And now we are returning back to buying the block. Now we're returning back to owning our communities. Now we're returning back to going to places, getting the land, and owning the entire supply chain. And if we do business with someone who wants to do business with us, it has to be on an even playing field. Because black folks, you're not minorities. That's another word they created. When you look at the scheme of things in the world, black people are the global majority. And if you look at the future And by 2042, black and brown people will be the majority population even here in the United States of America. So the writing's on the wall. The gig is up. Lightly melanated people better start getting some black friends, because they're going to be your business partners. They're going to live next door. They're going to own a lot of property and land. And black folks get real mad when the stuff not right. Who had it right? That's right. He knew that black people not only were the first race on the planet, but were indigenous to every country in the world. Before Native Americans, black people were here, and this is why he said, cast down your buckets where you are. Whether you're black in Europe, black in Asia, black in the Caribbean, black in Africa, black in America, you are the first to populate the planet. They just tried to write you out of history. So think about your position. Cast down your buckets where you are. Build an economy. Build businesses. Everything else will happen as soon as that takes off as a family. Think about that. Booker T had it right. Why? Who had it right? He had it right because he founded the National Bankers Association, the National Black Farmers, the National Bar Association, the National Black Newspapers, the National Black Retailers, the first women's business groups, just to name a few. And this is why Charles DuBont and I announced in September the formation of the National Alliance for Black Business. Because we've been isolated and divided and conquered we are when we're divided. So it is now time for us to unify. Negroes with egos is a no-go. Get rid of the egos, and it's time to come together and make an economic plan. We win when we fight together. You get it? So if you're not a member of the DEBCC, then you paying your dues tonight, right? Who had it right? Booker T had it right because just last week, over 1,500 black businessmen and women assembled for the 123rd National Black Business Conference in Atlanta, Georgia. Standing room only. Benjamin Crump, our keynote speaker, brought the house down. And we got a chance to honor the National Black Chamber of the Year, the DEBCC. So as I get near my closing, who had it right? That's right. Y'all are really good students. Really good students. Thank you so much for listening. Because as I close, I think about black folks and our allies. And allyship is not a social media post. Allyship is when black, brown, white, everyone hit the streets like our young people did for the Black Lives Matter global movement and said, this is not the world that we want to see in the future. We are tired of fighting this racist grandparents mindset, and it's time to change the game. And mom and dad, I don't agree with you. And the young kid that's lightly melanated coming to shoot up the school, I don't get with you, brother. It's time to come together and change the world. And it's going to take us together. But black folks need to worry about black folks. We the only people in the world that fight for minorities, fight for Asians, fight for Hispanics, fight for everybody else, but you can't put food on your own table. And when you look at the data, this whole game of minority this and minority that, black folks at the bottom of the economic spectrum. And we march the streets. Your ancestors gave their blood, their sweat, their tears, their lives, and free labor, and still at the bottom of the economic spectrum, which is unacceptable. And anybody that looks you in their face and they shake their head, well, I wish we could do something. You know what? Nobody going to do something for you, black folks, until you start doing something for yourselves. Let's stop worrying about everybody else. Okay? I told y'all this straight, no chaser. So again, I'm going to give you an assignment. When I say, who are we? You say, Blacknificent. Y'all got it? Who are we? Who are we? We are Blacknificent because we want to completely get off the plantation this time. Who are we? We are Blacknificent because black people have figured out that either you own your own or continue to be owned by somebody else. Who are we? We are Blacknificent because not only have black businesses grown 3 times the national rate to more than 3.3 million black firms here in the United States, but we have also contributed, despite the obstacles, despite the barriers, despite white supremacy and racism. It is noteworthy that we contribute over $128 billion in economic output, and we create close to 2 million jobs to the American workforce. So give yourselves a round of applause, despite everything. Who are we? We are Blacknificent because black people spend an estimated $1.5 trillion in America. And if we were the country's GDP, black people would be larger than Italy, Canada, South America, South Korea, Russia, Brazil, Australia, Spain, Indonesia, and even our Mexican brothers and sisters. We spend more money than those entire GDPs. Think about that, black people. That's power. It's time to recognize our power and get serious with it. It's a lot of black folks too. You're not gonna just talk about the white supremacists and racists. It's a lot of black folks shucking and jiving too. And we need to start calling those gatekeepers and buffer Negroes out. Because they sitting at the table, not bringing nobody with them. They're in the boardroom. White folks are saying, we got a black person on the board, but they quiet. Think about it. That day is a wrap because those people got a nice house, their kids are taken care of, and they following the same privileges that were supposed to be given to the poor white class, and the poor white class even see that their privileges are being taken. Let's think about it, okay? So we're gonna call it all out. And as I go toward the end of my speech, who are we? We are Blacknificent because black women are the fastest growing segment of entrepreneurs in the country, regardless of race, creed, color, sexual orientation, or gender. Black women are employing more people in the community than any other race or gender. So give it up for our sisters. Give it up. And black men, brothers, ain't nothing like a black queen. Give her the dream. Let's support her. Get in back, get on the side, or wherever she tell you to go. Because that's how we gonna win. When the black woman is whole, she comes back, as you see, and lifts the black king up. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's a method to this. I think the ancestors, they did some stuff. Who are we? We are magnificent because we will no longer seek a job. We are going to create one. Who are we? We are Blacknificent because we are going to become the #1 employer of black people. Who are we? We are Blacknificent because we realize we have the opportunity to go back home and rebuild Africa, rebuild the Caribbean, and any place that they tried to drop black folks off, wherever they thought that we weren't there indigenously. Who are we? We are Blacknificent because we are no longer falling for the illusion of inclusion. We will go and spend our money with someone who isn't black, But when we go spend and partner outside of the black community, this is what we're going to ask. How many black board members do you have? How many black executives do you have? How many black executives do you have with a budget and anointed power to hire and fire? We don't want no more gatekeepers and buffer Negroes. How many black contractors are you hiring and doing business with? So as you see, I just did $100 million with white folks. But guess what? Them folks that we doing business with, they got real folks on their board. They got real executives that are black with power and a budget, and they are hiring black contractors, and those are the type of people that we want to do business with. If you're coming with a shady game, go back home. So I say all this to say, who are we? We are Blacknificent. And who had it right? Booker T had it right. And thank you all so much, and have a black-tastic evening. Thank you so much. I told y'all the water fountain is going to be on fire.
Now, when I show up to the cookout, just remember, I'm lightly melanated. You know what I'm saying? That's right. And when I show up to the family reunion, remember, we distant cousins. That's right. So let's bring it all together. That's what it's all about. That's what I love about the DEBCC. So much for that. Thank you again. Amazing. Let's hear it for one more time. Our keynote tonight, that was awesome.